everybody. Welcome back to Paradise on Pennies. I'm Heather, and today I want to address some questions about food storage when you live like us. For those of you that are new, we live in this truck camper full time. It's completely off-grid, and we really don't have a lot of luxuries. We like to keep life simple around here. And we started off actually in a Ford Escape, a little SUV, and we lived in that for a while. So we got kind of skilled at how to live in a small space and making it work without a lot of luxury. Now the truck camper is actually kind of like a big luxury for us. And I'll do a lot of other videos about food and food storage because that's a big question people have when they are, say, starting a nomadic life or living in a small space. So the number one thing when you're thinking about food storage is actually to think about the types of foods. And I talk a lot about this in other videos, but just as a quick rundown, if you're dealing with things that are dried goods, rices, and beans, dried fruits, stuff like that, it's going to be a lot easier to actually keep them for longer. So that's your first thing, is think about the types of foods that last longer. And that applies to perishables as well, because there are perishable foods that are less perishable, things that tend to last a lot longer. Say like potatoes. Potatoes will last you for a long time. Carrots last a lot longer, with potatoes, sweet potatoes too. And squashes last a long time. So again, I'll go into greater detail in the future about the types of foods, but just be thinking again about picking the right types of foods if you're worried about how long your food will last. Now, for the foods that you do keep with you, where do you keep them and how do you keep them? That's more what I'm going to address today. So one thing is, think about repurposing different types of containers. We literally ask people for their garbage. We ask people for their containers, or we did in the past. We actually have enough now. But we got these containers like this that have a cap on it. They work really well. And of course, you can go out and buy containers if you want, but you can probably find a lot of stuff that can be reused. You're basically reusing or using would-be recycled or thrown out stuff. So this is, the first step in helping the planet is reusing. So trust me, ask people they probably have containers that they would otherwise maybe get rid of, and you could use them, like this one. Here's another example. Peanut containers work really, really well for food storage. So again, screw top. Right now we have some beans, some lentils in here. As you can see, we had a friend that had a lot of these, and she was reusing and recycling these, but she didn't want to throw them out, and she had an abundance of them, so she gave us some. Well, turns out they work really well for things, all our types of foods, especially dry goods, keeping them in these nut containers. So this is nuts, but we buy them in bulk because it's a lot cheaper that way. Nuts, rice, beans, flax seeds. On that same idea, cans work really well, and it's also something that you can find, again, probably at thrift stores. People have tons of these cans over the years that they've collected, so you can get these for pretty cheap. Either the thrift store or from friends again. And cans are really nice because, you have a nice lid that you can seal stuff in and keep stuff in. Again, dried goods, rices, teas, coffees, whatever. This just serves as a really nice storage container. And again, something you can get for cheap rather than buying new stuff. Of course, you can always use old Tupperware containers too. Kind of the same concept. Right now we just have some powdered soup mix in here. So, works really well. Seals good. Alright, so on that same theme of reusing stuff, also just be thinking about different oddball items that you can use for storage within your build. Whether it's a van, an SUV, a truck camper like this. You'll find that different containers, this was, I think, for maybe folder storage or something, like paperwork filing, and it had some other stuff going on, but we tore it off and just had just a little cardboard container thing. But it works really well for just keeping stuff inside of, and this goes in our cupboard here. So, other things, baskets. Baskets work really well too, also a cheap option. You can get baskets for storage. You can find all kinds of different sizes, and you can find the perfect size that fits whatever space you're trying to cram it into. So let me just show you a few other things now. In this cupboard, we have this brown container here. See that? That was basically, again, something someone would throw out. It was, it's kind of fallen apart, but in there it squishes in the cupboard, and it's just fine. Eggs are another thing. Egg containers. If you can either get the plastic egg containers, and they'll be hard to store your eggs in. That's a good idea, especially if you're scared that they're going to get squished. In addition to that, if you buy bulk eggs, as if you can use this many eggs, we obviously can, between us and the dogs. But you can buy like a 60 count, and there will be a box. It will come with the little cardboard egg holders. You can just reuse that for other eggs in the future too, and it helps keep them from getting squished. So, egg storage ideas. So another really important consideration is, if you're going to be nomading like us, being off-grid and not having all those luxuries and like a fridge and stuff like that, then you want to be thinking about how you'll keep your perishables. And one of the most important things is keep your perishables out of the sun one way or the other. You'd actually be amazed at how well some of this stuff will keep as long as you keep it out of direct sun. So we do a couple of things, and in this case, again, in the little Escape, we didn't have quite as much room as we do now. But we have under here all this storage. This board picks up and we have all this. That keeps stuff out of the sun. And then we showed you before in another video how we don't have a fridge, but we built into this kind of a cooler box system. So that kind of helps us keep stuff cool, at least. May not be refrigerated. And then up here you can see an idea where we repurposed this, like silverware drawer holder thing. So that works really well for, these actually happen to fit perfectly in it. Most of our stuff isn't really planned. And you can put vegetables and stuff like that. So, like I said, most of our stuff wasn't directly planned. It just happened to kind of work out that way as we just repurposed some things. So that works really well, but still a really good idea. Now, let's look under here. Got a pillow in the way, and there might be a dog in the way too. So, okay, this is a little door area, and we actually took the door off just so it was easy to get into here, but as you can see under here, two ideas that are pretty important. One is straightforward, it's a cooler. Hi, Ohana. Move your butt. So, once Ohana's butt gets out of the way, he decided to do some yoga, I guess. Yeah, a cooler's pretty, it's obvious, but again, we don't keep ice and stuff like that, so it's not like the standard use of a cooler. But keeping it under here keeps stuff, it's amazing, like it's cold, it feels refrigerated under here, and we've got a nice sunny day, so that tells you how good this works. And of course, totes. Totes work really well. We keep a lot of extra dried goods or stuff we need to keep cool. But the point is just find a way to keep it out of the sun, and it'll last a lot longer. So they also make cooler bags that you could keep stuff in if you don't have a lot of room, like in an SUV situation. That's what we did in our SUV. We actually carried around just a bag for a while. We didn't even have a cooler. And then eventually we upgraded to like a soft side cooler. The cooler we have now, believe it or not, we actually found on the side of the road, so that would have went to junk. And again, we like reusing stuff, so that was an upgrade we weren't going to do, although it's been very nice to have. So yeah, it can be done on the cheap. And one final note, if you're traveling with dogs, you'll have to think about storing dog food. We don't actually give the dogs dog food. We cook them meals. You may have seen that on some of our other videos here. So it's a little different for dog food storage. It's actually a lot easier and cheaper to not go with dog food, and better for them. So that's part of the reason why we do that. But when we cook them food, whether it's our food or dog food, we need to find a way to store it if we have leftovers. And one of the easiest options is actually we have a big stainless steel pot. And we usually take the food off the fire when it's done and put it in the stainless steel pot and then keep it somewhere. And it will keep at least maybe for a couple days, especially for the dogs. So that's one idea, is to be thinking about where to store it. And stainless steel is a really nice option for storage. I like stainless steel for most of our stuff around here. So there you have it. Some really good ideas on how to store your food. Be thinking again about the types of foods, things that keep well, keeping your perishables out of the sun, and repurposing a lot of containers. And you'll be on your way to living in your SUV camper, van camper, or truck camper. So I hope that helps you guys. If it was good information, give the video a like. And if you want to find more information from me about how I survive in such a small space off-grid, simply subscribe to the channel. Thanks for being here, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.